But it is always great to have on the program. He was one of the great pitchers of his time, now one of the top broadcasters in our game, and he's one of our favorites on A's Cast Live. And we got to tell him that we went over 5 million downloads, and we are officially by far the number one podcast in all of Major League Baseball, because guys like this for all these years have supported us, knowing that we're growing, and this is really where the future of our game is going, streaming video and audio. Thank you so much. How are you? Good to see you.
Chris, good to see you, my friend. Once I got a chance to come down and hang out with you guys again, beautiful day today. How about this? Another few days of baseball, so we all can't complain about that.
Yeah, we were talking about, you think about the Bay Area, like there's, as we can get into July, it can be hazy, but once we hit fall, our weather here, it's like unbeatable. You guys have been super warm down in Southern California. We've been like perfect, hanging around 75. This is going to be perfect weather the next 3 days for these guys.
Yeah, and the thing is, we were flying up here, and I was just looking out the window of the plane. I'm like, this looks beautiful up here. And I looked at the weather, just to make sure if I had to bring a jacket or no like that. Used to that warm weather down there in Southern California, although finally the heat has broke down there a little bit, so it was pretty cool. But coming here was like I walked around San Francisco today. It was awesome.
I got 12 holes in today.
Did you really?
Before I came up here, yeah.
What'd you shoot for 12 holes then?
I was 4 over.
Ooh.
Birdied 12. I had a walk-off bird. You know what? I was like today's starting pitchers. Instead of going 6 innings, I only played 12 holes. I said, I'm out. I'm not playing all 18.
Yeah, the birdie is like punching out the side in the 5th inning. Say, I'm good. I'm tapped out now.
5 and dive. Or, we call it now the Cabana Boy start.
Oh,
you go 5 innings or less.
Still remember that,
don't you? It's a Cabana Boy start. It's one of the best lines ever. Yeah, and it was we've talked a lot about that. We can get into where we see with pitching, but as the Angels, I did do my TV hit for NBC, and one of the things I highlighted today is, you think about the way Ohtani's playing, the way Trout has come back. I was looking at this, and I don't know if this has ever happened. Like, Trout has missed 42 games, and if he gets hot here in these next 3 games, could hit as many home runs as he missed games.
Yeah, I mean, he's swinging the bat unbelievably well. When you look back, I think the number since about August 19th, he's hitting like 350 with about 15 home runs. I mean, he's crushing the baseball since coming back from the IL. And Taylor Ward is on fire right now in the month of September. Those 3 guys, Ohtani, Trout, and Ward, were the reason why they were 10 games over 500 in the mid-May. You're thinking, okay, they're going to the postseason this year. And then all of a sudden, everything just changed. And I still don't really have an explanation behind that, Chris, why that fell apart like it did. But over the last month or so, they're on a stretch right now. They've pitched extremely well. Their young pitchers are figuring it out. And they've won 7 in a row, but it's all predicated around these young guys. Ohtani's been unreal on the mound.
Yeah.
But Sandoval's been great. Detner's been great. Suarez has been really, really good. Tucker Davidson has shown signs where he's going to be something to keep an eye on. Michael Lorenzen back in the rotation. So the bullpen is not getting worn out right now. So they know their roles, even though you don't have Bryce Iglesias, who's doing an incredible job down there with Atlanta. There's still some things to really be excited about. Anthony Rendon will be in this series here against the A's, and Fletcher's back. Jarrett Walsh is not going to be back till next year. But those 3 guys, if they're in the lineup along with the way Ohtani, Trout, and Ward have swung the bat, this is a pretty good team.
Are you going into the offseason really feeling optimistic about next year for the Halos? There's always it's next year. Do you really feel optimistic going into next year?
I think finally, because you see the pitching. The pitching is good, and it's young. And anytime you have a rotation, you know how good it was up here for a few years, too, with the lefties in the rotation. If you're good with left-handed pitching and they're young and they're impressionable and they're learning, you feel good about that. But there's some, obviously, uncertainty with who's going to be owning the team, how they're going to go and pursue extra players. They need to have depth. They have to do that. How they're going to do that as they go along is going to be interesting to see. But I'm really happy they were able to sign Shohei Ohtani to that deal. That way you don't have to talk about that during the offseason, exchanging those numbers. If you went to an arbitrator, it's no fun. I've went through that before, and it's no fun going through that.
Oh, because they grind you.
They crush you. They crush you.
Every you could be, no matter how great you are, you could be like Willie Mays, and they're going to go, well, you didn't do this, and you didn't do that.
Yeah, we timed you going down to first this one time on a ground ball. You were pretty slow. I mean, they'll find something, and with an arbitrator, you just don't. It's a coin flip.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they were able to do that. So at least they know they have that done. They know exactly what money they've had to, spend on Shohei Ohtani for 2023, and then you go around and supplement around there.
Even in today's baseball notes, they even had to say this about Ohtani, which to me, it's insane. It said it could be argued that an Ohtani trade is necessary to replenish an organization lacking dynamic minor league talent. The one thing I like to pride ourselves on this show is we've been around this game a long time. So we're just not talking chalk and giving you a lot of back of the baseball card stuff. We understand the business of baseball. And like our buddy Mark Langston talked about recently on this show, he was talking about how this couple had come in and bought like well over $30,000 worth of memorabilia and merchandise by Ohtani. Ohtani's bringing in millions upon millions of dollars to the Angels. I keep hearing this stuff, and I'm like, are you crazy? I don't care what a team would offer you. The amount of money he makes this organization, it would just be a dumb business deal.
Yeah, you're right. I get frustrated when you got to replenish the system. First of all, finally, the Angels had two teams in their minor league teams that actually went to the playoffs, which is a good sign. Their Double-A team was loaded with incredible prospects. You're going to see a few here. Soto was there, shortstop here. Ohtani, who's behind the plate, he was there in Double-A. There's some talent there finally. Now, that being said, it frustrates me because you don't know who you know how the process is here with Oakland. You move, the Chapmans and the Olsons. You don't know if you're getting the right people back, if they're going to develop. You can get prospects, but they're prospects. They're not talent like Shohei Ohtani. And what he has done this season, he's an unreal pitcher right now. You saw that he almost threw a no-hitter against the A's the other day, and he's in a 17-game hit streak. Who does these things? So, and you mentioned he's printing money for the organization. So why is there always a need for somebody always to say, well, they need to trade them to replenish their farm system when you have a chance to watch, a Michael Jordan, a Wayne Gretzky, or Tiger Woods on a daily basis?
We saw Ohtani's debut, and my business mind started going. I went, oh, sponsorships here. My God, he could start his own pub somewhere around the ballpark. If this kid is that good, I see dollar signs for Ohtani.
Yeah, he's really good. I talked to a lot of people back in Philly. That's my roots back there in Philadelphia. And, Realmuto, he's locked in there for a long time. So there's really no room for him. You can't even put him in DH because they have a bunch of guys that already should be DH. So his pop time, phenomenal. It's almost like I'm thinking of Sean Murphy type of catcher defensively back there. I was watching his presence. The other day going out there, talking to one of our young pitchers in between when he was struggling a little bit, throwing some strikes. He knew exactly what time to get out there. I heard his baseball IQ was off the charts in my conversations I've had already with him. I'm in agreement with that. He's got pop. He had 26 combined home runs in the minor leagues. So they always said he's already glove ready and arm ready and game calling ready for the major leagues. I was wondering if that bat was going to, join with it. And it has this year in the minor league numbers, and we're seeing some pretty good swings at him already.
Perry Manassian, your guys' GM, I heard him in the offseason. It was a fascinating interview. And he talked about how average teams use 13 starters a year. So I went and looked it up today, knowing I wanted to talk about this because the Dodgers, you're seeing it down there. It's a historic run what they're doing. It's just incredible. They've used 12 different guys this year. Going forward, trying to build, when we talk about starters, if you're going to need 10 guys, you're going to need 12 guys. 30 teams can't do that. There's no way 30 teams are going to be able to do that.
Well, I think part of the reason why you're seeing that with the Dodgers, they've had a number of key injuries to guys from Walker Buehler. That's why even as great as the season there, you go in the postseason and you look at the Mets and their starting rotation, and you look at the Atlanta Braves and their rotation, what they have, and their lineup. It's no guarantee that the Dodgers are going to the World Series this year. It's going to be a tough one for them. I know part of it is we went through 2020 with everything we went through in 2021. The guys throwing as hard as they can for 5 or 6 innings, and then you go to the bullpen. But, with teams that are really, really good, I think your ideal goal is to go through maybe 6, 7, maybe 8 starting pitchers, if you can do that. The Angels have a 6-man rotation, so there's going to be a few guys here and there. But for the most part, they've had a pretty steady group as far as starters. They've had a bunch of other players from bullpens, position players, an all-time record as far as players used this season for the Angels. But as far as starting pitching going, you're starting to see the mentality is not automatically you're out after the third time through. You're starting to see it as an organizational philosophy, along with a couple different pitches and shapes of different pitches they're starting to use. It's helping them do that.
So when we get this pitch clock, and I've actually timed some guys, boy, it's going to change. It's really, it's 15 seconds. Guys on, it's 20 seconds. What we've seen in the minor leagues, if it translates up to the big leagues, we've seen guys work faster, throw more strikes. They get into a better rhythm, helps the defense get into a better rhythm. Do you think it'll affect velocity?
I read something about that. It's for me, it still doesn't make sense how that would affect velocity on pitches. So I guess the breathing techniques and all of them do, as far as pitchers sometimes on the mound, and sometimes it takes a little longer. I don't understand why it would affect velocity. And I know it knocks off. I talked to a bunch of people down in AAA for when guys came up from Salt Lake. From April towards the end of the season, they knocked off about 25 minutes on the average game. So the games
Love
are quicker.
hearing that.
25 minutes. So, I mean, when I was on the mound, I wasted no time. And I remember, like, right away from the Cabana Boy stories or other stories with George Brett came up and goes, hey, listen, if you're going to lose, you better lose quickly. So, and I got to my mind, he goes, because we're going to make plays behind you if you work quickly. If you take forever to throw the baseball, hey, we're on our heels, we might not make the plays. And it's a ground ball pitcher, you better be working quickly. So I knew that. I never thought about I was losing velocity because I was working quicker. I don't understand. I've seen that and read that.
But you weren't going full max every fastball.
No, I was pitching.
Yeah.
I was pitching. And I think now, because now you're going to have guys, supposedly in the infield, we're going to have 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, that guys will put the ball and play more, maybe. And that way you'll be more apt to, hey, I'm going to take a little bit off here and there and just get outs instead of trying to maximize every throw you make. It's got to get a swing and miss. So it's going to be a combination of the two worlds coming together, and I think it's going to make the game better.
Do any of these guys ever pull you aside and ask for advice?
I talked to quite a few of them, yeah. And I don't solicit. I wait around. I generally will tell stories how I talked to Jim Palmer, how I talked to Don Drysdale, how I talked to so many great pitchers over the years. Dennis Leonard was such a big mentor for me in Kansas City. So those guys meant the world. Tom Seaver, same thing. They meant the world to me because I was willing to go ask and get a nugget from them.
Yeah.
Even though they have way more data today, the pitchers and players, but it's also the walking human encyclopedia, I think, is always huge. I'm definitely dating myself when I say encyclopedia, aren't I?
Look it up, kids. Google it. Encyclopedias. We had to use that. We had to go to a thing called the library. Yeah. We didn't have Google. We didn't have. I'm the last generation of college students that didn't have the internet.
Yep. Yeah, but there's a way you can combine it. Like, I've talked to a number of people in our analytic department. I said, I wish I had this stuff. But that being said, I'm reading and seeing what the hitter's doing at the plate. And I've talked to this with Michael Lorenzen a number of times. You can see when the guys get a little closer to play, a little further away, looking for certain pitches, hands are moving around. You read that. So that's your library right there. And the catchers, and I know Hoppy's already really good. You got Kurt Suzuki and Max Stassi doing this. They're already reading what the hitters are trying to do at the plate. So that's boom. That's you got the analytics and all the data, but boom, then you read what the hitter's trying to do, and then you can use that together.
There's been some, I'm not gonna say total research, but I read a couple papers where guys have actually looked into it. It's like gambling stories with certain parts of data. When you're talking about like the shifts, they'll tell you when the shift works. They don't tell you about the data when the shift doesn't work. Yeah. Like a gambler likes to tell you when he wins, not when he loses. So I'm wondering, because I know a lot of pitchers don't like it. It's funky, and you have what you're trying to do, but all of a sudden you got this movement around you. Do you think that will help maybe with some less walks?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think part of the reason why you're seeing the walks is they are because pitchers are somewhat penalized now for contact. So when you're throwing as hard as you can, you're not going to have your pinpoint control. Yes, it's pretty cool to see a guy throwing 101 like Clase or whatever with the Guardians. But if he's throwing 99 and paints the outside corner, that's probably a better pitch than 101 right down the middle, even though it's a little cutter he throws. So guys are going to learn to pitch, and I think they're getting there. I really do. I think we as baseball and front office got to step back a little bit and say it's not a bad thing when somebody makes contact against you as a pitcher, because we have more incredible athletes now playing our game than at any point in my lifetime. And I've been around now baseball about 41 years, from the minor leagues up through doing what I'm doing right now. And I've never seen an influx of so much incredible talent that we don't get to see because there are 3 guys in an infield, or you have sometimes 4 guys in an outfield, or hitters at the plate not showing they can hit a rocket the other way because they're trying to lift it over the shifts in the infield. So I think the game is going to be better, but I think it's going back to exactly what you said earlier. The pitch clock is going to make everything better. Everything.
Think about that. All the great players you've played with, you've played against, you've now broadcasted. Just think about what you've seen for these decades in the game, how the game has changed. Some has stayed the same, some has changed, but the greatness that you've seen in your career.
Yeah, I mean, there's so like I look back and it's something like mentioned Trout and Ohtani. This in amazement what I see those guys doing every day. I mean, I got to play with Hall of Famer George Brett. I got to see what Bo Jackson could do on a daily basis. I saw Garrett Anderson, Darren Erstad when I was with the Angels, Tim Salmon, Jimmy Edmonds, who I still can't believe he was off the Hall of Fame voting after one year. He should be still on. Not necessarily is he a Hall of Famer, maybe not, but he's a heck of a player. But now you're seeing guys. I'm looking around. I go, man, these guys are getting to baseballs that nobody was getting to before. Guys are hitting baseballs as farther than even Bo Jackson, who he was a superhuman being to begin with. So I think our game is great right now. I think pitchers at an early age know how to pitch. When we were kids throwing, we were just throwing. I mean, but now they're already got somebody working with them at an early age, sometimes maybe too much, but you're still at the high school level, I'm seeing kids actually know how to pitch. Every kid I've seen, which is pretty cool to see. And then you go to college, professional baseball, they're already in tune on how to use their mechanics at the plate and on the mound. Now you just use that data they're being given right now to make them better.
Think about that. The 2 biggest freaks we've ever seen in Major League Baseball, Bo Jackson, who, as he's playing with the Royals, is technically the best football player on the planet, no doubt the best running back, and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said to Bo a number of times, we were trying to get them together. I said, Bo, no show. So we got to get that going. It's got to get done, because really when you think, and we saw it at home, everyone's kind of caught up in this whole conversation MVP stuff. But everybody at home at the Big A, Shohei was pitching the other day. Every time he comes to plate, everything stops. And I said, man, the last person was like that was Bo. Like he was in the field, you watched him. He was at the plate, you watched him. You saw him on the bases just in case he was going to run over a catcher at home, you were watching him. So Shohei has that same kind of wow factor that you never leave your seat. You never leave your TV, nothing. You want to make sure you're seeing something, because you know what he's doing this year, no one has ever done. If he gets 1 inning pitch on Wednesday, he qualifies as a pitcher. No one's ever done it, qualified as a pitcher for, at the end of the season, and as a hitter. No one ever.
And you would go to the LA Coliseum and watch Bo run the football, because every single time he touched the ball, it could be 6.
Yeah, and then I remember watching the defensive players just going, man, first of all, how am I going to catch him if he goes by me? And if I do catch him, maybe I'm better off not trying to catch him, because then he's going to run over me and I'm not going to be able to get up for a month.
And he's like the greatest guy.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. He was like, he had an edge to him, but he was just a really nice person. So I can't imagine if he played football, like nonstop football. I couldn't imagine. Although Atwater, I remember with Denver, he said he can hit pretty hard. That's the one guy who could hit pretty hard, the defensive back there for the Broncos back in the day. But everybody else was like, I got to get out of the way. We know a few of those guys that tried to get out of the way of Bo.
The great Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
God, he was amazing. All right, let's end on this. We know you got to go. Now that baseball's over, are you an Eagles guy? What sports do we golfing? What do you gravitate to? What do you do in the off season?
Well, I got my granddaughters. They're twins. They'll be staying with us they're like 3.5 months right now. So take them to all the little fun things I can't wait to do. But Eagles fly. I'm always giving Trout all the updates during the game. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I'm in the outfield. I'm giving the old sign. I said, we're all right. We won that game against the Jaguars. Though they played them really good. I was like, I actually had chewed one of my nails off. They were down 14-0 early in that game. So huge Eagle fan.
Jalen Hurts.
Yes. I mean, they're wide receivers though. Wow. He finally has somebody to throw to, and that's the thing that's going to make him so good. That's
something when you play in that East. I don't care. I mean, even the Giants right now. Yeah. I mean, you got a Cowboys. I mean, they're down Dak, but I mean, it's a division where it's always going to be physical.
And none of those teams, like every time like the Eagles play the Cowboys, we hate the Cowboys, and then they play Washington, we hate them too. And then the Giants, of course, anything to do with Philly and New York is always an edge. I'll put it that way. It was always fun, a little bit of an edge. So their battles, the cities don't like each other, the players. I mean, we probably get more upset than they even do, but we kind of create that rivalry. It's always fun when those guys get together and play.
And if a win by Philly or a loss by the Brewers will put Philly in the postseason for the first time since 2011,
Yep.
which is the longest drought in the National League. We know, obviously, the Mariners had the line.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice to see the Phillies back. Great baseball team. It'll be good to see them back in the postseason.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, it's typical as a Philly fan. They were, we were thinking they were a lock a few days ago. Next thing you know, they lost a bunch of games in a row. They go, typical Philly. We're like, oh, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. All of a sudden, Milwaukee blew a couple leads late against the Marlins, and lo and behold, now they have a great shot. All they got to do is win one. But again, being a true Philly fan, they're down in Houston, so you just never know.
I mean, it's going to be wild. I mean, we're truly entering a tournament, and all this stuff that I got, all these notes and everything, all of it means nothing.
Yeah, I mean, even the best of teams, you would think, okay, right now, close your eyes, you think, okay, it's the Astros and Dodgers in the World Series. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure. The one team, and I think is really, really good, is the Atlanta Braves. We saw them down there. I'm like, wow. Austin Riley and of course Olsen, which I probably shouldn't mention his name around here.
Matt Olsen, we know.
But they are so deep. Dansbury, I mean, those guys, they're so good. They play so well, and they have so much fun. They're a dangerous team, and he won last year. So that has a lot to do with how confident you're going in there. And they beat the Dodgers last year in the playoffs. They should have beat them the year before, but the Dodgers with their resilience. But the Dodgers are incredibly deep. They feel like they have a 40-man roster when everyone else has 26. They're that good and deep. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The Yankees have kind of sputtered a little bit. The Astros, if Michael Brantley was available, I think they win the World Series. And I still think Verlander's that good. I mean, their pitching staff is great. Their bullpen is good. And Alvarez, I mean, wow, he's an incredible player. Bregman, Jeremy Pena is incredible. He's like a young Carlos Correa at shortstop, similar build. I mean, they are really, really good. And Altuve, he just never slows down. It's amazing. Everything about that team. And I think that one guy that nobody talks about that should, Kyle Tucker, is phenomenal. Phenomenal player. Great base runner. Great arm in the outfield. He can hit, and he's got power.
No batting gloves like George Brett.
Yes.
I think we could dust you off and bring you out for the Dodgers, and you'd win 15.
I take my chances, Will. Yes.
Always the best.
Anytime, my friend.
You've been so good to us. It means a lot.
It's always great to be on here. I love, what? This is kind of cool. We got a few extra days to be able to play here. And we're right back here, by the way, to start the season next year again.
We lead off with you guys again?
Yes, it's almost like a given. It's a given. You can't get away from me.
We love it.